What's ironic is that there's a Pokemon with two cannons on its back and a Pokemon called Two Cannon, yet they aren't the same Pokemon. Also, despite this year's rotation being one of the most impactful ever, decks hit hard by the loss of all 1,000 G-Block cards have still managed to do well in Japan. Though that's kind of like saying I was the #1 TCG Live player of 2022. Because I was the only TCG Live player of 2022. Irregardless, I'll take a quick look at decks dropping in the rankings as a result of rotation on March 26th in Live and April 10th IRL. Now, to address the Q font in the room, yes, there was a major tournament in Japan with 7,000 players recently. While Mega Absol won the whole thing, I'll still be including it in this list for reasons that will become apparent very soon. Because if you think Absol's the best deck post-rotation, then you probably also think Arboliva's the second best deck post-rotation. And Slowking's up there as well because it placed second in the seniors division. I guess what I'm trying to say is that if you can unfair stamp your opponent into an unplayable hand, any deck seems good. Anyway, what better place to start our list of decks that get worse post-rotation than with the Angry Giraffe? Well, you might be surprised to learn this, but it actually survives rotation. It's not a consistently high-performing deck, mind you, though it was able to sneak into the top 10 of at least one Japanese tier list this past month. Several months ago, someone with really smooth feet noticed how dumb this rotation would be for ancient and future Pokemon. While the majority of cards remain, like Raging Bolt and Explorer's Guidance, the main reason for this archetype success does not. Professor Sada's Vitality leaves standard, removing an amazing energy accelerator that also draws cards. It seemed like Raging Bolt was doomed, but then lists began to shift. Crispin saw more play, revealing that this might somehow be good post-rotation. After all, with Gold and Go gone, not only does the format slow down a bit, Raging Bolt also becomes the new best attacker without a damage cap. And Sada aside, Raging Bolt keeps everything else. Teal Mask Ogerpon still accelerates energy into play for Bellowing Thunder, while Knocked Out can be used in tandem with Ogerpon to find any two trainers. Then when Perfect Order arrives, Meowth EX helps with consistency. It sounds crazy to hear this, but the 11th place list at that Japanese tournament had 3 copies of the Kitty Cat. So if everything's going right, you can find Crispin to power up your attackers. Otherwise, grab Petrol turn 1 going second to find Precious Trolley, then Jolting charge 4 energy into play. As you can see from the full 11th place list, it does rely heavily on Meowth. But if you have a good turn 1 between Crispin and Joltik, you can end your first turn with 6 energy in play. And that's not counting any energy Ogerpon might add to the mix. And thanks to Energy Switch, Wellspring Mask Ogerpon can also help against single prize decks, with Terrapados able to wall basic heavy decks. For a Noctowl focused build, everything is roughly the same as it is now, minus of course the lady who ironically doesn't have the best vital signs. Noctowl finds Crispin, Crispin powers up Raging Bolt, Ogerpon accelerates energy onto itself, and Clefairy can help against Dragapult and Lucario. Basically, while it takes a hit losing Sada's Vitality, Raging Bolt survives rotation thanks to its raw power, along with Crispin and Ogerpon. Just don't take this list to mean that Community Center is a playable card. I don't know what the hell they were thinking there. Then we have Slowking. When it works, this deck causes more nightmares than that scene in Signs where the aliens are first revealed. Unfortunately, rotation takes Xatu, destroying its energy accelerator and card drawer. Not only that, reversal energy also leaves, meaning one cannot simply attach a single energy and seek inspiration. Despite all that, while it hasn't seen the level of success as Raging Bolt, you could make the argument that Slowking survives rotation. Of course, as you can see from this first place list, people in Japan are crazy relying on the heart of the cards. Those of us stuck in TCG Live Purgatory know that 4 Lilies is not enough to prevent getting bricked up. But the possibilities are there. For starters, Quilladin is the worst middle evolution. Also, Slowking doesn't lose any of its attackers to rotation. Kyurem's still able to spread 110 damage 3 times, Annihilate instantly KOs both actives, Regigigas deals 330 damage to terrors like Dragapult, and Conkeldurr is an easy 250 on everybody else. The next way this deck survives is Avenge twofold. First off, Wondrous Patch. Accelerate a Psychic Energy from the discard pile, manually attach another, and you're good to go. Then there's Smoochum. For 0 energy, it accelerates 2 Psychic from deck to any one of your Pokemon. Yeah, they can target who you give the energy to, but it's still great. Along with those two, we're getting Telepath Psychic Energy in Perfect Order, which is a double nest ball for Psychic types, ensuring strong starts. Additionally, Power Glass discourages them from targeting someone on the bench after Kyurem unless they leave a Slowking ready to go. Or simply attach Counter Gain plus an energy if you're losing. And while it hasn't been universal, Lily's Clefairy is always a potential inclusion as either a backup attacker or a way to let Slowking hit Dragapult for weakness if you prize Reggie. Oh, and because Kyurem forces you to discard all energy, I even saw a list running Boomerang energy. Ultimately, while Slowking definitely gets worse with rotation, the bones of the deck remain. And when Mega Slowbro eventually releases in English, it gains another way of potentially winning games. Alright, I'll stop edging you. Now's when we start to enter true unplayable decks territory. While I firmly believe Mega Man will be relevant at some point in 2026, for now it's hit super hard by rotation. Gone are Squawkabilly, Earthen Vessel, and Professor's Research. Basically, the three best cards for explosive turns are no more. Ceruledge does still have access to Carmine, Lunatone Solrock, and Brilliant Blender, plus Perfect Order's Naveen, but it's not the same. Where before you could just Nest Ball for Squawkabilly turn 1, now you have to Ultra Ball for Meowth turn 1 to find Carmine, which is far less reliable. And Explorer's Guidance is a cheap research replacement. Not to mention Turo and Jet Energy have abandoned us as well, removing any hope of preventing someone from getting trapped. This is the only winning list since rotation, and it's kinda sad. Sure, Briar exists to potentially take an extra prize when they have 2 prizes left, but this is very much a tough sight to behold. And while I agree that Legacy Energy would definitely be the better ace spec, Brilliant Blender is an instant 100 damage boost. If you're preparing to sell all your Ceruledge though, I've got some good news. Help is on the way in May. When Chaos Rising comes out on May 21st, it'll add Prism Tower. This discards 2 cards from hand to draw 1. While it's not the saving grace Ceruledge needs, it's a step in the right direction, hopefully with bare feet. This isn't one singular deck, but every Lightning deck in existence. Part of the reason why they suck post-rotation is that Mega Lucario, a fighting type, is the second best deck in Standard. Add in the losses of Miraidon, Iron Hands, and Electric Generator, and there's nothing Joltik or Electric can do to save this type. Previously, I thought Lightning would have a chance thanks to Joltik and Pikachu remaining, but even that's struggling. And without Generator to get early energy into play, or Earthen Vessel to fill up the discard pile, Electric is far less good. In fact, Electric has only been in 3 top 16 Japanese decks since rotation, with neither the Mega Dragonite or Mega Manectric versions cracking the top 10. It really goes to show you just how important the G-Block cards were for Lightning decks, because now they feel way too slow. At the very least, Pikachu has snuck into some Terrabox lists, though none of them have done particularly well. Through things like Flareon, Sparkling Crystal, and Knocked Out Grabbing Crispin, you can be Topaz Bolting for 300 damage on a naked Pikachu out of nowhere, and Light Ball increases that damage to 350. But with Dragapult, Munkidori, Frostlass, and Dusknoir everywhere, Resolute Heart will be more like a Resolute Fart. Similarly, any type of Future Box deck loses practically all playability. Iron Hand Sax truly was the sticky substance holding it together. Without a way to take multiple prizes, you're just not strong enough anymore, even if Baby Miraidon and Iron Crown are staying in Standard. While I'm hopeful about the future of Ceruledge, I have no such delusions with Lightning. And if Chaos Rising doesn't surprise us with a great new Lightning type, which I doubt it will, we're probably waiting until the last half of 2026 for this type to get a Resurrection. Obviously, this one's going to be a little controversial given that Mega Absol went and won the first major post-rotation tournament in Japan. I wouldn't read too much into that though, because across the Masters, Seniors, and Junior Division top 16 lists, so 48 in total, I think it was the only deck with a Mega Absol. Also, I believe they allow you to switch decks between Day 1 and Day 2, so the results of the tournament are slightly skewed. And when looking at the past month in Japan, just 16 of the 50 decks that included Mega Absol actually focused on the Angelic Dog. So what's with the drop-off? Well, it relies heavily on a turn 1 Arven for Precious Trolley and Turbo Energize. Both of those cards rotating hurt the early explosiveness, which is also why my second ex-wife left me. Sure, you can still get Darkness Energy into play with Crispin or Glass Trumpet, then energy switch it around, but it's not the same. Additionally, Bravery Charm going means it's easier to one-shot these 3 prize basics. While Blake Lively Stadium remains, that loss of a potential 50 hit points means it's easier for Dipplin and Teal Mask Ogerpon to KO Absol through weakness, and Lucario to Aura Jab Kangaskhan through weakness. Because for the exact same reasons I mentioned above, a Kangaskhan Bouffalant focused deck is also hit hard by rotation, barely doing anything in Japan lately. And no, I don't think a Protective Goggles reprint would save them. I do have faith that we'll see these basic megas do well again throughout 2026 though. I mean, all it takes is the right list featuring Terapagos, Glass Trumpet, and Crispin to turn these into major threats again. Outside of a deck focused on these guys, Mega Absol still has a place in several other archetypes including Toxtricity, Grimmsnarl, and Dragapult. After all, Absol is able to one-shot everybody in Standard, taking a one-hit KO for 2 energies so long as they have 6 damage counters on them. Munkidori twice, energy switch to Absol, and you can period all over them. As for Mega Kangaskhan, its ability is still one of the best in the game, especially when you can freely retreat it with Latias EX. That's part of the reason why it's been included in 180 top 16 decks this past month. And don't forget how good Rapid Fire Combo can be in a Trapinch, able to deal 600 damage if PDCGL decides to match you up against me. Ultimately, while both Absol and Kangaskhan lose something to rotation, you shouldn't panic sell them because they both can still help you win. A Mega that doesn't quite have a place post-rotation is Lopunny. And it's not just the Dusknoir build becoming unplayable, it's Mega Lopunny disappearing across the board. Without Klefki, Lopunny has no way of shutting off a Psyduck so they can blow their dust load. Add in the loss of Jet Energy, which allowed you to deal 230 damage for a single energy attachment, and you have a card that goes from highly playable to lowly playable. Of course, there's still ways to make Lopunny work post-rotation. I've seen a few Alakazam lists use it for a sneaky 230 damage after shuffling in into Dunsparce. Though with Ino gone, Alakazam gets so much better that the bunny seems unnecessary. Additionally, Latios EX still exists, freely retreating any basic. Air Balloon's not going anywhere either, and neither is good old Switch. Hell, you could even put it into a deck with Petrarunt EX and Yveltal if you wanted. Overall though, Mega Lopunny is hit extremely hard by rotation. And in a world where Lucario is a top deck, this is one rabbit you don't want to jack. This next one doesn't need to be analyzed very hard. Baby Roaring Moon does more damage based on the number of ancient cards in your discard pile. Because the release of ancient and future cards began at the end of the G block and continued into the H block, a lot of the archetype is fragmented. So while Baby Roaring Moon and Explorer's Guidance survive, Earthen Vessel, Sawdust Vitality, Ancient Booster, and Roaring Moon EX do not, making this deck DOA like that beach volleyball game everyone bought for the gameplay. Similarly, Great Tusk mills 4 cards if you played an Ancient supporter. Well, Sada leaves, same with Palpad. Considering that Wugtrio is also gone with rotation, mill decks will almost Dylan cease to exist starting in late March. And if you think Perfect Order Hippowdon will save millers, think again. It's a stage 1, requires an extra energy compared to Great Tusk, mills 1 less card, 4 shots Dragapult, and relies on Terradon, who you can't recycle. I checked, and Hippowdon has as many top 16 finishes in the past month as both Roaring Moon and Great Tusk combined, and that number is 0. To build the list for this video, I took a Pikachu at the top 50 decks in our Limitless tournaments right now, then cross-examined them with post-rotation results in Japan. Well, Conkeldurr is just outside our top 50 and will likely never get close to it ever again. Without Brute Bonnet, Conkeldurr has cooked more than Ash when Tobias followed up Darkrai with Latios. Conkeldurr only attacks for free if it's affected by a special condition, of which Poison was the easiest. Come March 26th, the only thing toxic in your life will be Britney Spears. Luckily, Conkeldurr will live on as a single copy in Slowking, except as I already covered, that has its own issues. If you've ever made the mistake of going second and placing a single wheat basic in the active, I've got some amazing news. Donk decks will no longer exist in Standard come March 26th. Not only is Brute Bonnet leaving, which poisoned their active to allow Baby Petrarunt to ruin your life, but so is Squawkabilly. Now, if anybody wants to win on turn 1 going first, they have to run Dangerous Laser instead of Brute Bonnet. Except there's no way to find it, so they just have to Carmine and hope. Except with Dangerous Laser as the A-spec, that means no Secret Box. Yeah, the reign of tyranny by Donk decks and the lower leads on TCG Live to score quick, easy wins is ending. Additionally, Iron Valiant's rotating, so you don't have to worry about that taking Brute Bonnet's place. Yes, we'll finally be free to start a weak Badoo going second with nothing on the bench and have no worries for the rest of our days. Unless you start Badoo and they have Volcanion EX and Venture Bomb once, then you'll have lots of worries. If you're wondering why I didn't talk about Golden Go or Gardevoir or Charizard, that's because like Phillip Phillips, they're gone. This video was about decks that have their core remaining post-rotation, but their soul heart was ripped out. I also refrained from talking about how horrible it's going to be post-rotation for evolution decks without reversal energy. Honchkrow survives thanks to Team Rocket's energy, but road decks are going to struggle in 2026 with only having access to ignition energy, which doesn't help those who have, typed energy costs in their attacks. With 1,000 cards leaving standard on March 26, I probably missed something, so let everyone know in the comments which deck you think will get worse with rotation.